Russian mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin, who launched the armed rebellion against the Kremlin earlier this year, was killed yesterday in a plane crash. He was on a private plane from Moscow to St. Petersburg. He and 10 others on board were killed, including the 3 pilots. This is all according to the Wagner Group and Russia's aviation authority. On Wagner's Telegram group, they called Prigozhin a hero of Russia, a true patriot of his motherland, who died as a result of the action of traitors to Russia. The crash immediately raised suspicions, since the fate of the founder of the Wagner private military company had been the subject of intense speculation ever since he mounted the mutiny. The Kremlin said he would be exiled to Belarus, but the mercenary chief, whose troops were some of the best fighting forces for Russia in the beginning of the incursion into Ukraine, had since reportedly popped up in Russia after all of this happened. All right, earlier today, I spoke to the Moscow reporter for the New York Times, Ivan Nechepurenko, and here's what he had to say.
Many people are shocked because they didn't expect the situation. I mean, they did expect the situation to end this way, but they didn't expect that this would happen so in such a blatant way, I would say, because everybody assumes, Kremlin supporters, members of the opposition, that it wasn't a coincidence that he just died in a random plane crash. So there's a sense of a shock in Russia, and people are bringing, some people who support Wagner, and there are many people actually who think that Wagner represented a more just force that opposed the West, but also in a way opposed the system, sort of like the disruptor of the system. So there were many supporters, there are many supporters of Wagner, and they bring flowers. There's a small memorial in St. Petersburg in front of the offices of the Wagner group, where they were recruiting people, where there were the media companies that worked for Mr. Prigozhin. So yes, I think there's a sense of shock, and there's a sense of kind of a realization that the Kremlin usually, or maybe always so far, has the upper hand. Some people say that he had to go until the end, and since he didn't, and he aborted his mutiny, this is now his fate.
So, I mean, it's such a, just looking at these visuals, it's very surreal. What is there suspected foul play? I mean, especially obviously being in Russia with everything going on, can people even talk about that openly?
Well, of course, the Russian investigative committee started an investigation into the crash. So, that means that they actually said that they will check everything. So, I mean, even on the official level, there's a clear suspicion that there was something went wrong with the plane. Of course, this is just a small plane, and this is not usual for this plane to to crash in such a way. So, everybody says it openly. The pro-Kremlin, anti-Kremlin people, they all say that this was most likely an assassination. People can speculate about who did it. Maybe some people say Ukraine did it. Some people say the defense ministry or the Kremlin. But no, I haven't seen anybody saying that this was just a coincidence, a random
plane falling out of a sky.
Crash.